911, what is your emergency?
Special agent for the United States Secret Service.
Tell us what we want to know.
Why don't we pull over and make a deal?
Taken at the server attack on Washington. Bunkers changed randomly without notice.
Information on the president's bunker.
Give us the location of the letter I start.
At the start of the film, we see a man trapped in a glass container. As soon as he came to his senses, he panicked and started screaming. He thought that the person who imprisoned him was the one to whom he owed money. But soon he realized he had been kidnapped by someone else. But why? He still didn't understand. A timer was running on the container, and as soon as it stopped, he heard a voice from the radio. Someone named Henry, who was also kidnapped and trapped in a glass container. Like Jeremy, Henry's container had a radio, which allowed them to communicate. Both were worried and desperate to escape. Jeremy reassured Henry that they would find a way out. But as soon as he said that, both of their containers began shaking violently. It became clear they were inside a moving truck, being transported somewhere unknown. Jeremy suspected that Henry was in the same truck since the radios in their containers were old and unlikely to catch distant frequencies. Suddenly, the truck stopped. Jeremy urged Henry to shout for help, but no sound escaped their glass containers. Then, a light in Jeremy's container switched on, blinding him. A torch and a picture were thrown inside before the light turned off. When he examined the picture, he saw it was of the White House, and on the back was a note demanding the location of Roulette in exchange for his release. Henry received a similar message, warning that if Jeremy revealed Roulette's location, Henry's life would be spared. Jeremy asked Henry who he was, and Henry revealed that he was a security officer but didn't disclose what Jeremy did for a living. However, Jeremy quickly deduced that their captors were terrorists plotting against the government. Henry pleaded with Jeremy to give them the location to save his family, but Jeremy refused, wondering how the terrorists knew he had that information. Now, he bore a heavy responsibility, not only to save himself but also to protect the president, who resided in the White House. He decided to act. Using his knowledge, he adjusted his radio's frequency to connect with a nearby truck driver, pleading for help. The driver, realizing Jeremy was in distress, tried to locate him but was unsure which truck he was in. Just then, Jeremy heard the sound of a heavy bike passing by and informed the driver, who used this clue to pinpoint the truck's location and began chasing it. However, Jeremy's captors noticed and quickly changed direction, vanishing before they could be intercepted. Desperate, Jeremy lay there, thinking of his next move, when suddenly his wife's voice came through the container speaker. Somehow, she had managed to call him. He tried asking for help, but since they had been arguing previously, Molly was reluctant to listen. Before hanging up, Jeremy frantically explained that he had been kidnapped and begged her to contact the police and his friends. However, before Molly could react, Jeremy heard her scream, and he realized that she had been kidnapped too, likely as leverage to force him to reveal Roulette's location. Furious, Jeremy threatened his captors, demanding they release his wife, but they taunted him, revealing they knew everything about him. They exposed his true identity as an undercover agent, responsible for securing high-level secrets. They reiterated their demand. If he disclosed the location of Roulette, they would spare not only him and Molly, but also Henry's family. Jeremy, however, stood firm. He could not reveal the location because Roulette referred to bunkers meant to protect government officials, including the president, during emergencies. If the terrorists wanted this information, it meant the city was in chaos and the president's life was at risk. Enraged by his refusal, the captors released a swarm of bees into his container, knowing he was allergic. Their goal was not to kill him, but to torture him into submission. As the allergic reaction set in, Jeremy lost consciousness. When he woke up, he realized he had been injected with an antidote, proof that they intended to keep him alive until they got what they wanted. Soon, Henry contacted him again, pleading once more to save his family. But Jeremy refused, asserting that his duty came before personal attachments. Suddenly, a police car appeared behind the truck. Jeremy saw an opportunity. However, the terrorists warned him that if he tried anything, Molly would be killed. Despite this, Jeremy took his chance and shouted for help when the truck driver presented his documents to the police. The officers sensed something was wrong, but before they could react, the driver sped off. The police fired at the truck, breaking the glass of Jeremy's container, injuring his leg. The chase ended in a violent crash, knocking Jeremy unconscious. When he awoke, he found the truck driver either dead or unconscious. Spotting the driver's phone, he retrieved it through the shattered glass and desperately called the police. Unfortunately, the phone's location services were disabled, preventing the police from tracking him. As a workaround, they decided to trace the signal tower he was using, but this would take time. Meanwhile, Jeremy saw a man outside and called for help. The man approached, but before he could assist, he was shot dead by a terrorist who took over the truck and resumed driving. Jeremy's hopes crumbled as he realized that by moving, he was straying further from where the police had pinpointed his location. Just then, the police called, informing him they had reached his wife's house, but she was gone. Instead, they found a note from the terrorists, reiterating that if Jeremy cooperated, Molly would live. The police reassured him that they were closing in, but Jeremy knew that every passing moment decreased his chances of rescue. At the same time, Henry contacted him again, revealing that a timer had appeared in his container, likely a bomb. He begged Jeremy to give up Roulette's location to save him, but Jeremy refused. Instead, he tried calling his colleagues for help. Only one answered, and what he learned was chilling. Every undercover agent had been kidnapped, placed in trucks, and forced to disclose classified information. Those who refused had their trucks blown up. Then, he received another call, Molly's voice trembling with fear. She begged Jeremy to save her. Realizing she was also in a truck, he faced an impossible choice: betray his duty and save her, or stay loyal to his mission and let her die. Tearfully, he confessed his love to Molly, regretting their past conflicts, and admitted he wanted to save her. But he knew his responsibility was greater. Molly, now emotional herself, reassured him that they would survive and start fresh together. Suddenly, Henry's voice returned. Panicked, his container was filling with water. Before Jeremy could respond, a deafening explosion confirmed Henry's death. Shortly after, his co-agent called again with shocking news. The terrorists had located Roulette and planned to assassinate the president. But when he insisted Jeremy tell him the exact location, Jeremy realized he was also working with the terrorists. Furious, Jeremy refused. His container began flooding too, and he braced for death. But before he drowned, someone rescued him. It was Henry, alive and unharmed. Furious, Jeremy attacked him, only to be stopped by the president himself, who revealed that everything Jeremy had endured was a test. In a time when trust was scarce, the government had devised this extreme method to evaluate their agents. Jeremy had passed and was now being promoted to the president's personal security team. Stunned, but relieved, Jeremy processed the reality of the situation. He had endured the worst, but had proven himself. And with that, the movie ended. Thanks for watching.